You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
Hello and welcome to the Ticket Stub, Montgomery County's #1 movie podcast. I've just fully adopted that at this point.
Yep.
We come to you live every Thursday on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. You can also listen worldwide on irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find us on all podcast feeds. We've got a Facebook, a Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is actually picking up heat, and I like that. Some people...
Heat? You mean we're getting reported?
We're getting, flagged. We're getting flagged for bad content.
No one's seen my slip nudity in the frames?
Yeah, it's like Fight Club where you slip a couple frames in the midst of everything else. But we're Ticket Stub. We're live every Thursday. This is Connor, and I'm here joined with Dick.
Hey, good afternoon.
And also Chris.
Hello.
We are your hosts. If you don't know what the Ticket Stub is, we talk movies, everything you could ever need to know. You find out here on the Ticket Stub. So we're glad you tuned in. We've got a lot to talk about today. We want to make sure that we are always pointing you again to our social media, Twitter, @the_Ticket Stub, Facebook, the Ticket Stub Podcast, and you can engage us there. Chris has taken over, and since then, our followers have skyrocketed. So is our tweets per day.
Still no
it's a
sex bots.
A lot of tweets per day.
Yeah, a high number of tweets per day. Yeah, still no sex bots, which is at this point a little bit, I figured we'd have some by now.
Yeah.
Especially with Chris at the helm.
Does that mean we're doing it right or doing it wrong?
I think right, probably. Because that means we have real actual human followers.
Yeah, we're getting about 100 a week. We're up to 700. So if you want to be a part of that.
If you want to be the 719th
I guess,
follower.
that's also, we have to give like a reason to follow. That is the main way we communicate with people. So always tweet us. If you're listening to the show on podcast and you want to say something to us, tweet at us right now.
Yep.
Or we have a message line. You can call in at any time, day or
baby.
night, 936-647-3776. That is our call-in message line available at any time. So if you're listening to an old episode, let us know if there's anything
And please make sure you
offensive.
say your name and the name of and say the Ticket Stub, because there's several that hotline shared by
Yeah,
all the shows.
Just to give a word to the wise, though, you can call and prank call us. It's great. I do enjoy getting the message. But we won't play it on the air. Just to let you know, we won't play it. So it's kind of like, it's for my enjoyment only if you want to do prank
Unfortunately,
calls.
Dick won't. We keep asking
Well, now
him
I
to,
wanna
but
do it.
Dick won't play
No.
the prank calls. What we're doing today on the show, we're going to rewind some movies we've seen from the last week. We're going to talk about movie news, and we're going to do retroactive Oscars. We'll tell you a little bit more about that as
That's
the show
pretty cool.
progresses. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to talk about that. We also had a post-credit scene with Daniel Westwood that came out last week, and it was really cool. Daniel's from Parallel, which we talked on the show about several times, and we'd actually had a post-credit scene with the director of Parallel. And
Live from New York City, too.
live from New York. He's British. He's good-looking. He's charming. All the things you could want. So you want to check that out. That turned out really well.
Yes, and, he's our pick to be the next James Bond, at least to get a screen test. So please retweet that. If you go to Twitter, retweet the interview. We want to try to get him that screen test.
Did you guys
if at all
hear
possible.
the lady leaving, the door opening and leaving? Did y'all catch that?
No. In the middle of the interview?
In the middle of the interview?
No, I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you can see it in reflection of the glass behind him.
Man, you were like analyzing it like this
I'm just kidding, I didn't
Zapruder
have
film over here, looking frame by frame.
Well, I am the audio-visual guy.
That's true.
So,
And then we have another post-credit scene coming out later this week with author Stephen Heslowitz,
Yes.
who has written several books that are, it's really more about TV, but it was still really interesting. He's a lawyer, and he kind of writes about how the law and TV intersect. So that'll be an interesting one to come out.
yeah, probably the most interesting bit from that interview was Homer Simpson is in legal documents
Yes.
as a case for references, future references.
Like judges will cite Homer Simpson as like a legal
Pretty
precedent.
surreal.
It's not that bad. It's not up to the Homer Simpson standard.
Exactly. I think the podcast was up to the Homer Simpson standard, though, I would say.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to let our listeners know right now, we are trying to get more structured with the release dates. So right now we're sticking with 8 a.m. podcast release date of the Ticket Stub is on Fridays, and then the post-credit scenes will be released on Mondays at 8 a.m. So if you mark your calendars or whatever, and you subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and all that kind of stuff, and YouTube, that's when we're going to start releasing the all the recorded stuff.
So hopefully you can have a little bit more of a plan to listen, and it'll help you consume it
You know
that way.
that morning brew. on Friday morning. You want to listen to something? That's
right.
great.
That's what I do. I actually have a cigar. I go outside, I have a cigar, and I listen to the show.
In the morning?
In the morning at 8
You
a.m.?
smoke cigars in the morning?
I sure do.
Are you
morning.
serious?
Every morning. Why in the morning? That seems like a nighttime thing.
It's a both thing.
You do it twice a day?
Usually. Yeah.
Juan, are you one of
Really?
those dudes that always has cigars on him? Like, do you have a cigar on you right now?
I do not know.
In
I'm
your
not one
car?
of those guys. No.
In your bond car?
No.
How big is your humidor? How many will it hold?
100 or something.
Are they real cigars or are they
Yes.
like baby cigar thingies?
No, they're real.
Backwoods or Phillies?
They're not backwoods. No.
Do we
no,
need to smoke a cigar
black
sometime?
and mild.
Yeah,
No.
Don't you say that?
No,
I
no.
like those. Well, we need to do that sometime. A morning cigar.
Yeah.
We need to bring. Can we smoke in the studio, Dick?
Oh man, that'd be great, but no.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Well, fine. All right. Well, we're gonna move on to movie news. We want to talk. We've got several stories. We're gonna talk quickly about each one, or actually, maybe we're just gonna spend the whole time on the first one because I know Chris has some thoughts. Quentin Tarantino. I picked an article off of Reuters, but there's about 100 million articles right now that you can find that have to do with this. So here's the drama. Okay. It first comes out that Tarantino caused Uma Thurman to wreck a car on a movie set, and she said that she felt pressured into driving it, and then it's caused her like a life of injury. Then it came out that Tarantino strangled and spit on Uma Thurman while they were making Kill Bill, and then it came out that Uma Thurman was kind of like, oh, well, that was a long time ago, and maybe I didn't really, and we've made up since then. And then it came out that Quentin Tarantino was saying that Roman Polanski wasn't really that bad of a guy. So it's been a journey for Tarantino the last week. Chris is like foaming at the mouth right now, excited. I mean, what are your thoughts here, Chris?
Well, first of all, the video where she crashes the car, I encourage everybody to watch that video. It's not just some little bump that she has. I mean, this is a very serious crash where she could have been killed.
No, he says she was going 30 to 40 miles per hour.
Well, that's
Now,
probably about
I
right.
think what's important, and this is something that when I heard about this, I was like, wait a second. She was in a stunt position? Because that's a big deal for actors to be a stunt because they get paid more, they have more insurance, all that kind of stuff. So I started looking into this. It wasn't a stunt move. All it was she was supposed to just drive down this road.
It was supposed to be a straight road.
Straight away. And I was kind of like, wait a second. How do you crash? Well, what it really comes down to is she can't drive.
Right.
Well,
And
the road curved a little bit, I think, and she didn't.
yeah,
know.
but I mean, this road's been driven on several times.
It is a real road.
And it's a real road. And I think a lot of people, especially the way the media portrays it, it seemed kind of unfair because I was like, why on earth would you have your main actress be in a stunt position?
Yeah.
Because it could have a crash. So I think that's important to note that she had a driver's license. It was just a normal shot of her driving down a road. And
Right. Yeah. But,
So, Chris,
the
so
thing is,
what's
she
the
didn't
rebuttal?
want to do it.
Well,
He
of course.
pressured her into doing it.
oh well, I mean, I think that comes down to egos.
But one thing Tarantino said was that he thinks that had it been any actor or actress, he would have pushed them to do that because I think directors will push actors and actresses out of their comfort zone. He even said, I read,
to
that
drive
he would have pushed.
to drive a one shot with the camera behind where you don't see their face. That makes no sense.
Oh,
If
so-
you have somebody, if she doesn't want to do it, you have somebody. It was a stunt double. Clearly, they did, and you still make her do it. It's irresponsible. I mean, they said the car wasn't safe or something along those lines, or she felt like the
But
car wasn't
Tarantino
safe.
had driven the exact route before that. Like he had.
I think what had happened was common sense was being used because all you were asking of an actor was to drive down a road, and anybody could potentially do it. But I think also she has a history of not liking to drive.
Right.
So irresponsible or responsible. I think it comes down to both them as actors and directors. It also depends on the budget and depends on the relationship. I know if you're a small budget kind of guy, you're like, hey, we really can't pay for this shot. Like, we only have 5 people on the set here, guys. Like, someone's got to drive it.
Probably not the case with Kill Bill.
Well, no, but maybe the director. Everyone knows Quentin Tarantino is really picky and really weird with his movies. Maybe that's what he likes to do. He likes to have his actors act out the role of her driving down the road because maybe who cares?
Yeah.
But also that translates into the next point of the spitting thing.
Yeah.
So
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
you're defending him. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay.
All right. I just want to read you. This is from the,
Read it out.
This is from the 2003 interview with Howard Stern, and I just want to read it word for
Is
word.
this the Roman Polanski thing?
It is.
Okay,
so this has nothing to do with
where I
Uma.
lose-
This is where
this has nothing to do with Uma, right?
This is
No.
where you
All right.
lose me. This is where you lose my
We're
support.
not defending him
on-
in general.
on
We're
Quentin.
defending that
Okay,
decision.
no, but this is the kind of guy.
Okay, read it.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so
Go
this
ahead.
is about Roman Polanski. You know, he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl.
Is this
We
at the
know.
time where they're doing the petition stuff?
I don't know.
This
is what Quentin Tarantino
15,
said about
15
it.
years ago.
I don't believe it's rape. I mean, not at 13. Not for these 13-year-old party girls. Then Howard Stern says,
Party
this
girls.
is, Howard Stern says, when you have sex with a 13-year-old girl and you're a grown man, you know that it's wrong. And he said, look, she was down with it.
I mean,
This is your hero?
Yeah, he also said
My
this
hero?
is your
Hero?
Okay,
This
drama,
is the
dramatic
guy.
over
No,
here.
no. This is
did
the
you,
guy.
do you write for these
No.
page 6 magazines?
No, but this is the guy that everybody thinks is such the world's greatest director.
No.
Well, okay.
I don't even think I don't think he's that good.
Two things. Hold on. First of all, no one has ever said hero. All right, so you're being a little reaction dramatic right now. All I was saying was that him driving that car was not the thing that we should be focused on. The story's gone sideways. What I think we should be focused on is what he said about Roman Polanski, which is terrible. And what he was trying to say, in some cultures it wouldn't even be bad. No, as far as a director, this is the debate we've been having for the last several months, which is, can you separate the art from the artist? Can you separate what they produce
There is
from
no
the person?
art. He's extremely untalented. He has no talent. He cannot
So
write.
you have a personal vendetta
No,
against.
it's not
but-
personal.
so
I do not like what he does. I think he came into the industry at a time where he made a movie that was different than everything else, and people were just like, "Oh my goodness, that's really good. Let's give this guy more money," which was Harvey Weinstein, and we know how that was.
Okay,
He's
but
just
Harvey
a
Weinstein's
product.
funded so many movies, so you can't use Weinstein as the reason why.
But that's his
Tarantino's
boy,
bad.
though. That's his boy.
I thought
Okay.
Kevin Smith was his boy. I thought
I don't
Ben
know.
Affleck was his boy. I thought Matt Damon was. I mean, he has a lot of people that he makes movies with.
Yeah, Tarantino.
Okay.
Well, Miramax primarily, it wasn't just Harvey Weinstein, but Miramax, the studio, produced a lot of his movies.
So you think he's totally untalented?
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this: and he's not my very favorite, but I think he is very good. But for a lot of people, he's one of the top movie-making directors, writers. Do you think has he tricked them? Like why does everyone think it's cool to like him?
I don't know. No, I don't think he's tricked anybody. I just think
I think his type of art really festers well in the Hollywood world, because if you think about the opportunity he brings to people's careers, and people try to say that he revitalized John Travolta's career and Bruce Willis's career because for whatever reason they're in Pulp Fiction, that was a different role for those major stars. But I mean, to say that he has no talent, that's kind of a crazy statement because
it's not a crazy statement because this guy said you can have sex with kids if they're okay with it.
Okay, well, hold on, but again,
that's what he said.
Yeah, again, but
they're party girls.
But do they like to party though? That's the real question.
Well, actually, when I heard that, I go, what parties do these people go to?
Dude, they party.
Because I mean, that's
Exactly, a party that I guarantee you he has been to.
Well,
I may
probably.
be stepping over the
Well, I
line
mean-
here, but when you're there and you defend that kind of stuff, you're in that environment. I mean, I'm not going to
the
go
whole Hollywood.
so far
You
as
would
to
say though, all of Hollywood's defended that kind of stuff, though.
child molestation.
Well, I mean, if you do a little bit of especially for when he won the Pianist Oscar,
Yeah.
how many people stood up, clap? I'm talking like A-list people, and especially there's even written petitions in support of him that people have written their names and signed a signature. And there's also another list.
So there are for David Duke
So,
as well.
I know, but I mean, I'm talking about Hollywood as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Quentin Tarantino, his talent grows well in that environment. And he really, I mean, if you're going to be an actor and you want to be in a Quentin Tarantino film, it's a big deal.
So
Well, just bring him a child.
Maybe
then, I
today-
guess. That's what we need to do. You want the role?
Well, maybe today.
He's not Harvey Weinstein.
Well,
you
I
don't
think-
have to sleep with him. Just give
I
him
think-
a
bring him
child.
a child.
Well, this
Here's
right
a
here,
child, Quentin.
this
Yeah.
right here might be a turning point for his career because
I hope
of
so.
It won't
this.
help.
I hope so.
But the thing we'll talk about the three instances you brought up. The driving thing really confused me. But then when you look into it, I was like, oh, that's just an unfortunate circumstance because it was just a normal shot driving down a road. And granted, they had enough money. They probably had a stunt double on hand because literally all this, this is a stunt heavy movie. But then again, and then the second one we didn't talk about was the spitting thing.
Yeah.
So he did respond to that, and
even that, I can kind of see what he was. I mean,
I can totally see what he was.
Because
He responded. He said that you couldn't get the right look unless you used saliva and dip to get the right look. Come on, dude.
Well,
seriously.
let's ask the
there's
question.
tons of stuff
Well,
you can use.
let's ask the question.
People aren't
as
looking
you-
at the damn thing
as-
saying it doesn't look enough. Not
As a
spit.
filmmaker, You're writing scripts. So what about the scripts that have rape in it and things like that are very vulgar, very offensive, but it's in the script. Like, that's how we're telling the story. Like, for example, the movie Irreversible, the French movie.
Yeah,
there's
terrible.
literally one track shot of the rape for 10 minutes. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. There's also a scene where this dude gets his head bashed in with a fire hydrant. One track shot. Doesn't change. So that's gonna happen. They're gonna put that actress in that scene. So these people know what they're getting into, and they had a conversation about it. Uma Thurman's like, so how are we shooting this scene? Someone spits in my face, and they're like, all right, well, Quentin Tarantino, being the hands-on director that he's kind of known to be.
Yes. She said yes to it.
Yeah, but what is she gonna say when the boss of the movie, when the producer of their movie,
they have agents, they have people that can
and she also was very involved with the film.
Yeah, but what is she gonna say when the producer of the movie has sexually assaulted her, the guy that's paying the bills, the director, who I'm assuming she's still a young actress. I mean, she doesn't want to do anything to rock the boat. Now he's asking these women to be choked.
I don't know about that.
Actually choked to the point where they cannot breathe, so they look real on camera. That is not right. People know that this is a movie.
I think that's part of the drama.
Yeah, but it's a movie. It is fake.
I mean,
you don't really choke somebody in a movie. I'm sorry, it's stupid.
Well, I mean, I think if you have people who are sitting there trying to create something, like, for example, Jackie Chan, like, that dude risks his body for, like, every movie, and I think Uma Thurman goes, how are we doing this scene? This is how we're going to do it. I think there's
It wasn't her idea, though. She wasn't like, choke me, let's make it look real.
Yeah, but they did.
It was his idea.
I don't think we really know what happened.
In both instances with the
Well, that's what they said.
In both instances with the choking and the spitting, from what I was hearing, the people that were dissecting this scene, and maybe they were wrong, but in both cases, he told them we're going to do it 2 takes, and if we don't get it, then we're going to be done. And after both takes, both actresses said we can do it one more time.
That's
if you
correct.
think we need to do it one more time.
Yeah.
So they're complicit in both things. No, is it enjoyable? No. But I think there's a lot of times where actors and actresses get put in situations that are obviously not great.
And I think that's also part of their challenge as an actor. Like, I want to be.
I'm not saying it's like making them feel like a better human to get spit on or whatever. But it's part. I mean, I think for them, they're getting paid millions of dollars. They have an agent. They have the right to say no at any point.
I understand that, but he, as a director and as the person in charge, should be not so stupid as to actually think that you can choke somebody feasibly and just hope they don't die. I mean, they said they had people there on the side, but you're still putting that person at risk, whether they want to do it or not. You, as the person in charge, should take responsibility and not allow that kind of stuff to happen, including the car thing. You know, when she said she couldn't drive. No, watch the video. Did you watch the video?
I watched the video.
She really could have been killed.
Oh, yeah. She can't drive.
With how far... Well, I mean, that's established now. But yeah, it was incredibly irresponsible filmmaking during that.
Well, I see that.
And I guarantee
the unfortunate statement like that is you're looking at making a movie is a process, and they basically block out how they're doing each process. So what you're saying is any actor that gets in a car that, say, driving down the street, they shouldn't do it.
No, she said she didn't want to do it. There's a difference.
But I wonder how often that happens on a movie set, though, where someone says, I don't know about this, or I'm not comfortable with this, and they end up doing it because...
Well, this is not the only thing that's going to come out as far as him being negligent on a film set. I guarantee you that. You mark my words, in the next couple of weeks, there will be a lot of stuff that's going to come out.
You're probably right, because he films first off, he's probably a crazy person. And
look at him.
And second off, his movies are very weird, very out there, and he probably does push people into situations they're uncomfortable with. But again, to me, at any point in those situations when it's an adult, he's not forcing them. There would have been people all around. This was not him pushing her into a dark room saying, you better do this or else. This was them on the set of a movie, and he's telling her.
And they're working on it together. Well, what was interesting about it in her response after all these horrible things happened, because the car crash was the turning point where I understood in that timeline for her. It was like, hey, she goes, I'm going to go complain about this. And basically the turnaround was she wasn't involved in a lot of the producing roles anymore after that, which, I mean, that's how that business goes in a sense of egos and things like that. And unfortunately, it took 15 years to get it. But I think looking back in the new Hollywood world is things are going to change. But, you know, if everyone's going to come out every scene that I felt uncomfortable with, and it's like the Me Too, like Time's Up kind of thing. No one's really going to know. But in Quentin's world, like I said, it's going to get worse.
Well, I guess for me...
Well, it really is. I mean, y'all's argument...
That's probably why he's going to retire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's done anyways, right?
So the argument is that you guys are okay with him choking and spitting on those actresses because they were, quote, down with it.
Oh,
Just
gosh.
like
I think
he says the 13-year-old girl.
You're connecting too many
It's the
bridges.
same-
It's not the same thing. First off,
He's saying this 13-year-old girl
First off, a
agreed.
minor cannot give consent legally. It's
According to Quentin Tarantino,
well,
they can.
He doesn't get to make the rules, though.
Yeah.
Legally, a minor can't consent to things because they don't have the wherewithal to be able to do it.
Sure.
That is
Well-
100% different than someone on the set of a movie saying, "Will you do it? I'm uncomfortable with it. Hey, I really want you to do it. Okay, I'll do it."
I mean,
but if
think
he doesn't
about
have the moral
the
compass,
thing that comes
he doesn't
to
have
mind,
he doesn't
my
have the
mind.
moral compass.
Think about that movie Kick A. You know,
Yep.
that movie has that young girl. I think, what is she, like 14 in it? Like the
Yeah,
actress herself.
she's not real
yeah.
old.
And there was a couple scenes where she was being choked out
Yep.
and fighting and things like that. And
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
was she really being choked?
I don't know.
That's what we're
Yeah.
debating here. I mean, he does not have the moral compass clearly, because he
But
made this
don't you
statement
think that-
before he made the Uma Thurman stuff. He made
Correct.
this
do you
statement.
think that stuff doesn't exist in movie making? Where people like are extreme about like we gotta make this look as
Well,
real as
that was
possible.
kind of my point earlier. Yeah.
I mean, I think that happens all the time.
But if you're actually going to physically harm someone to
that's
get a
that's
shot,
that happens all the time. Like, really hit me, man. Really hit me. That happens
yeah,
all the time.
it's not the same thing.
I
think it is. I think if both parties know, hey, we gotta make this look good, it's gonna happen. Now the car thing's different because the car thing, she did verbally say, I don't feel comfortable with this.
Right.
Blah 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 blah. But the choking thing, she clearly was okay with it because they did another take.
And the other thing is that they've made up, and that they're on good terms now, and that she even came forward and said that she was, because Quentin was the one who released the video of her driving. I think he put it on Instagram, which is how it kind of got out there.
Yeah.
And she said that she was proud of him for doing that, knowing that it would obviously
Yeah, but if
reflect
why did
poorly
she
on
bring
him.
it up then? If she really
She brought it up, but it was brought up. It
Well,
wasn't recently
what
brought
happened
up. I think
was
it was pulled back
she
up.
wrote a piece
a long
about
time ago.
Weinstein. No, she
Right.
wrote a piece that was released like 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you talk about Harvey Weinstein, you have to go into like every single thing that's ever happened between them two. And that's when another story came out saying that Harvey and the producers of that movie blocked her having the footage.
Yep.
And then it turned to the other stories and the on-set rumors and all that kind of stuff.
But I don't think her
And-
intent was to bring up this Tarantino stuff.
Oh no, I mean I think in the end she was just trying to make it known that this kind of stuff happens on the sets, and there's certain choices people need to make. And I think the Me Too movement, that's what they're trying to say, is be empowered in this situation.
Yeah.
You have a choice, you can walk away. And Hollywood, in the past Hollywood, people felt they never had a choice, but now hopefully with the new movement, especially young ladies, you have a choice.
I guess my point is that
unless you're 13.
Well, I guess my point is I feel like we're missing the real story, which is it's just another example of people who are totally okay with sexual assault, abuse, taken advantage of. And I think it gets drowned out when you throw in things that maybe are not as, maybe it's bad. It's bad to pressure people into doing things. Is it illegal? No. Is it immoral? Maybe. But I think you lose some of the other argument when you dilute it down with other things.
Going to break, yes or no question.
Okay.
That I just forgot. So go to break.
Should he burn in hell?
Do you party?
No. Yes.
Do
Yes.
you party?
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, we're gonna have to do. When we come back, we're gonna do the fastest rewind of all time, and then we're going to talk about retroactive Oscars. Great conversation about Quentin Tarantino. Stick with us here on the Ticket Stub.
Let's begin now.
Remember to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on your computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. Lone Star Community Radio broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Hispanic Chamber Connections with Dr. Carlos Sanchez, President of the Woodlands Conroe Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, featuring event announcements, member highlights, and more. Tuesdays at 1 p.m., broadcasting from the heart of Conroe, Texas on irlonestar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1.
Let's begin now.
What up, party girls? We're back on the Ticket Stub.
Man. Oh man.
If If you missed the first segment,
That was great. First half, you mean?
First half. We're normally pretty good about staying on time, but man, we
No,
got.
I wanted Chris to let it out.
Yeah, I got a little fired up.
Yeah, Chris got pumped. I was waiting for.
What is? I mean, this is really the.
We don't have time to go back down
This
the road.
is the pressure point of,
Okay.
of the Hollywood. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where it's coming out. And, I mean, now we're having proof.
Yeah.
You know, videos of stuff, and now people can judge for how it is. But the one thing I did not like about that video, I will say, it wasn't longer than 8. It was long. It was shorter than 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, let's do like the whole thing because I want to know how she messed up.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to know. Like, what did she do? She hit a rock?
Well,
you know.
if you don't know what we're talking about, subscribe to the podcast. Go listen to the first half of the show.
Ooh.
We got into Quentin.
Ooh,
Yeah.
carrot on a stick there. I like
Yeah,
that.
you like that? We want to make sure we're always pointing people back to 104.5 and 106.1 FM. irlonestar.com/TTS is how you can listen to the show. Like and subscribe to all of our podcast feeds, Twitter @_TicketStub, and Facebook, the Ticket Stub Podcast, YouTube as well. You can watch and listen. You can, if you go to the YouTube, and even if you listen to the first half of the show, you need to go to the YouTube and watch Chris. He was about to come over the table at me. I was having to like hold him back.
It's because we have heroes.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
heroes like Quentin. All right, we literally do not have time to talk about that more.
Indeed.
We've,
All right.
Indeed.
We're going to do a rewind,
We're
right?
gonna rewind. Okay, these need to be fast because we
okay.
blew everything talking about Quentin Tarantino. So, Chris, fast rewind. What movie did you watch last
I
week?
saw Happy Death Day, which came out last year. It's an American slasher film directed by Christopher B. Landon, written by Scott Lobdell, and starring Jessica Roth, Israel Broussard, and Ruby Modine. It's about a college student who is murdered on her birthday and begins reliving the day over and over again. At that point, she sets out to find the killer and stop her death. I really like this movie. It's really fun. It's kind of like a Groundhog Day nod to it. Jessica Roth, who plays the college student, is really good in this movie. It's one of those that you think you have figured out, but then, you know, when you get towards the end, there's like twists and turns, and you end up nowhere near where you thought the movie was going to go. I would say, like, as far as the plot goes, it doesn't really explain a lot, so you kind of got to use a little intellectual liberties. That's pretty good.
Yeah, there you go.
To kind of piece everything together, but her performance is solid. The script's solid. It's just basically Groundhog Day.
How did you watch it?
I watched it on Amazon streaming.
So it's Prime? Is it on Prime or is it?
I paid for it.
Okay.
So hope not. Hope
Yeah, well, I don't have Prime. I don't have
Okay.
Prime. So
Well, maybe you should.
I'm not paying $100 a year.
Well,
you kidding?
That's like,
Wait, that's another show.
yeah, okay. We'll go
Yeah.
there somewhere else. All right, so Happy Death Day overall. You recommend? It was worth watching?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's really neat.
Cool, good stuff. All right, Dick, what about you, man?
I watched the 2017 Killing Gunther. It is a rated R film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, a bunch of comedians, and like Kobe Smulders from
Oh,
How I
from
Met Your
Oh, yeah.
It's directed by Taron Killam, who is in a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
Saturday Night Live kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I will say it's on Amazon Prime streaming, so it's free. And then
Except for Chris, not for Chris.
Except for Chris, yeah, he's you're SOL on that one. But I got tricked.
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is on the poster.
Yeah,
He's not in the movie till the last 20 minutes.
really.
Yes, and I will let you guys know if you're expecting to watch Arnold Schwarzenegger to do Arnold Schwarzenegger's things, that's not happening in this movie. With this movie, the whole time when I realized that for the first 20 minutes, because there's a couple scenes where they're trying to kill Gunther, and who played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, there were several scenes where they're tracking him, and you can clearly see it wasn't Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like some guy in a hood, or it was kind of keeping the mystery up. But to me, it was kind of a cheap way of not having him in the movie.
Dude, this exact thing, just for 1 second. Movie called Empire State from 2013. The poster, The Rock, is prominently featured. Behind him is Liam Hemsworth and
Yeah, I know
Emma
what you're talking
Roberts.
about.
Yeah, The Rock is in that for like 7 minutes at the beginning, and then not. I thought it was going to be like a Rock action movie. I was so pumped. It's like a stupid crime thriller, like mystery movie.
Yeah,
I was
This
pissed.
movie, the way I could sum it up is it felt like the Lonely Island brother. Was it Lonely?
Yeah, Lonely Island.
Lonely
Yeah, Lonely Island guys who make those comedies with the other SNL cast were in a class together at UCLA, and the UCLA the writing script prompt was, hey, write a assassin movie, but all the normal assassin movies, but make it funny, or like you can do whatever you want, but I want assassins. And so the way they wrote it was just like how they did Office. The Office had that documentary interview style comedy, which is done in like While We Wait in the Shadows, or whatever that movie was I reviewed a couple months ago. But
Yeah.
it's that documentary style, and it really, I mean, the movie just wasn't good. I was very disappointed. It felt very young. Like whoever wrote it, directed it, the guy, like it was like his first time writing and getting it done, because the special effects were done poorly, and the humor kind of fell flat. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, though, he was funny because he plays a role that he usually doesn't play. He's kind of goofy because you get, because the twist at the end is he heard these assassins were after him, those assassins hired a film crew to film it.
He plays himself?
He plays Gunther,
Oh,
the
that's right.
other
Okay,
assassin.
got it,
And
okay.
somehow this is Gunther's character has somehow screwed up all these other assassins' lives somehow. So they all band together to kill him.
Was it funny? Like, were you laughing?
No. I was waiting for the movie to end because Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't in it till the end. But the twist was kind of humorous because in the end, Gunther hires a film crew to film him while stalking them, filming them trying to kill Gunther. So there was kind of a funny twist ending to it. But yeah, it's on streaming. I would say watch it if you just want to see how not to make a movie, and like what you can learn from it, because it definitely had those kind of things in a movie, how to write a good script, but how not to write it and things like that. So
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I watched a movie from this year, from last year, 2017, called Icarus. It is on Netflix. It is up for Best Documentary for the Oscars this year. So it's 4 of the 5 Best Documentary films are on either Netflix or Amazon. Unfortunately, the front runner, the favorite, is not available. So that one's called like Faces, Places, or Spaces, Places, Faces, Spaces, Places, something like that. This is Icarus. It is directed by a guy named Brian Fogel. So the plot is when Brian Fogel sets
Fogel.
Fogel, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When Brian
That's a whole nother debate we can bring him.
When Brian Fogel sets out to uncover the truth about doping in sports, specifically cycling, a chance to meet with a Russian scientist transforms his story from a personal experiment into a geopolitical thriller. Basically, Brian Fogel is he's a filmmaker, but he's also an amateur cyclist. He loves to do these long distance rides, and he realizes that everyone's cheating and it's making him mad. So he decides, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna dope. I'm gonna do blood doping. And so he gets connected with this Russian dude, with this guy, and he works for like the Russian Olympic team, and he ends up getting him to help him. His name is like Grigory, and he gets him to dope and help him pass the blood test. And so the first like 45 minutes of this 2-hour movie is him like blood doping and trying to cycle, and they're doing all these tests on the urine and stuff. I'm not gonna lie, kind of boring. I was like, this is not really that great. And then it shifts. All right, and then all of a sudden it's no longer about his journey for this, but they start to uncover some of the truth behind all what's going on with Russia. And you find out that this Grigory guy was part of the Russian testing for all of the Olympic athletes for like the last 20 years. And all this stuff that's come out where they're all in trouble in the Olympics right now for testing positive for all this stuff. Grigory was like the guy doing all of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so he accidentally finds his way to this documentary filmmaker. I think he thinks he's making one kind of movie, and halfway through it totally shifts and becomes a totally different kind of movie.
So is this what got the Russians kicked out of the Olympics?
So this movie is not what got them out, but it is being made side by side with them getting kicked out of the Olympics. So I think by the time the movie had released, they'd already been sanctioned and everything like that. And even like up to date, they're still, I think, reviewing and sanctioning, for the Pyeongchang or whatever Olympics that are about to happen or are happening right now.
The South Korean Winter Olympics.
Isn't it in China, South Korea, wherever it is? Pyeongchang.
They actually changed the name of it because people got confused. They didn't want people to think it was in North Korea.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
Well, there you go.
clearly didn't work.
Pyeongchang, I believe is what it's called.
Pyeongchang, for those Olympics.
Here we go.
So like actually at this point, and this is happening right now, what I believe has happened is that the Russian athletes, most of them are still, or a lot of them are still there, but they're not competing for Russia.
Right.
They are Russian athletes competing. So Russia cannot accumulate medals as a country. And it's really, it's really interesting. It's available on Netflix. It's free. I would say, again, word to the wise, the first 45 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes, a little bit slow, but it definitely when it shifts, it's really interesting. It's very topical, like it's right on the nose. The Olympics are happening like next week or whatever, and this is dealing directly with all of that stuff. So cool movie, Icarus. If you like documentaries, you should definitely check this out, especially if you're one of those people, I always try to see as many of the Oscar movies as possible. And the documentaries, a lot of times I've missed them, but since there's so many available streaming right now, I'm trying to catch as many of those as possible. Although the other ones besides Icarus, the other 3 that are streaming, gosh, they seem like a grind. I mean, it's like about
Most documentaries are.
not. I disagree with that.
I
but-
like documentaries.
But one of them is about like Aleppo, and like just the tragedy. It's just like you're watching medics heal people who are like war torn. It's just like, I don't know if I want to watch that or not. But this was definitely interesting. So, all right, rewinds, got it under control. See, normally we break, but we're not going to because we already did. So now we're going to move along. We're doing what we call retroactive Oscars. So I had this idea. I actually heard another guy interviewed talking about the Oscars, and what his point was, in the moment, it's almost like we're too close to it to really make a selection, right? A lot of times what ends up winning the Oscar, a couple years later, like who has even thought about that movie since then, right? And, it totally fades, but like in the moment, it's artsy and cool and all that kind of stuff. And he was talking about how in sports, you have to wait like 5+ years before you can make someone in the Hall of Fame because you want history to really kind of see. So we're going to look back at 3 years and 5 years and see if we agree with the picks and what we would have picked to be the Oscar. We're just doing Best Picture only. So 2012 and 2014. So what we'll do is I'll just read the nominations. We'll say who won, and then we'll kind of each defend who should have won, if that makes sense. So the nominations for 2014 Best Picture: 12 Years a Slave, American Hustle, Captain Phillips, Dallas Buyers Club, Gravity, Her, Nebraska, Philomena, The Wolf of Wall Street. So I actually saw all those except for Philomena that year, and 12 Years won. So now, 3 years later, with with time as our friend, Chris, should 12 Years have won? Who should have won the Oscar?
Yes, 12 Years a Slave should have won.
All right, how come? Why do you still stand
I
by
really
it?
enjoyed that movie. I saw a few of those movies. I didn't see all of them. But it's just a great story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as I recall, because I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a black man who is free gets put into slavery.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So it was an interesting take on the slavery side of it. And Lupita Nyong'o is great. She won the Oscar. For
Yeah,
that.
she's definitely deserving, I would say. History
Yeah.
has proven that.
Fassbender's awesome. He's always awesome.
Yeah.
For me, it was the best movie.
Okay. So they got it right in the moment.
I think they did. Yeah.
All right, Dick, what about you?
I felt like a lot of those movies had their niche, but none of them really stood out to me to be fantastic.
Okay.
So really, that year is pretty forgetting. I don't think a lot of people think
Yeah.
of 12 Years Slave as one of the best movies ever made.
No, well, probably not.
And because if you look at the diversity in the movies, because especially when I think this is like 2 years after they opened up to 10 movies for
Yeah,
Best
I
Picture,
believe
that really dilutes
maybe 3.
to me the quality. Because looking at like the movie Dallas Buyers Club, and especially movies like Captain Phillips, like Captain Phillips is probably the worst movie on that list, and like doesn't need to be anywhere near that. And it's just kind of funny to me when you do stuff like that, it dilutes from the other movies.
So sometimes I wonder if just because the movie was like
Has
pretty,
Tom Hanks in it.
Well, it was like pretty good, has a big actress, and came out in December. Sometimes I feel like it automatically gets bumped into the Oscar, especially. I think the first couple years, and I guess I say that they're still doing it. When they expanded it to 10, it's like they feel like they have to pick like 9 or 10.
Like Philanoma.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what that movie is? Do you guys know? Is it called Philanoma?
Philomena.
No,
Philomena.
I think that's a skin disease.
So-
I know. Yeah.
So-
I've got a little Philanoma.
Do you know who's in that movie? Do you know what that movie's about?
Judi
Judi
Dench.
Dench. It was about her trying to like find her son, something like that. That was the only one I didn't see, but I remember ish about it. I don't remember much, but
Yeah, I mean, like that's what we're working with here.
yeah, and that's kind of I guess my point is that a lot of these kind of fade. Like for instance, Nebraska. Nebraska came out in 2014. I really liked Nebraska. It was great. When was the last time you had a conversation about the movie Nebraska? Probably 2014, if even then, right?
That's Bruce Dern, right? Bruce Dern's in that.
Bruce Dern is, and it's got
It's Alexander Payne directed
Alexander Payne, and what's the SNL guy? Hader.
Bill Hader.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Will Forte.
Or Will Forte. That's who it is. Yeah, Will Forte.
So forgettable. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The whole year, forgettable.
Mostly is. I would say that I would think that 12 Years a Slave probably was the right choice, especially, the Oscars likes to pick movies that, maybe have a little bit of like a justice or like a social bent to them as well.
Was that when the Why So White thing came out?
Oscar So White? No, that was like two years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because there wasn't a single black person nominated for like anything.
Yeah.
Because this year there was, and 12 Years won, which was a movie filled with black people. I would say that if I could pick the one that I think about the most, and this is like so I would say 12 Years probably deserves to win. But the movie that I think about the most, and this is going to be kind of a weird pick.
I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead.
Okay, well maybe you do. I'm gonna say the movie Her.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the movie Her. That one it was a small movie for a lot of people, maybe a forgettable movie. But when I just think about movies that stick with me, Her is definitely one that I think about. If you don't remember, it's Joaquin Phoenix, and it's got Scarlett Johansson who voices the little like iPhone thing, but it's actually like a AI, and he ends up falling in love with it. It's weird. It's definitely out there. But in so many ways, it was just, I don't know. I thought that the world that it existed in was kind of like a semi-futuristic world. It was just really cool and interesting, I thought. So that would be kind of my pick. But again, I think that 12 Years was probably the better broad pick in 2014. So, Dick, you didn't pick one. You just said they were all
kind of
none deserve. They should have picked none.
Yeah.
Should have.
I think they should have been like real controversial and given it to like Gravity or something like that. Like, what, really, that one? Or,
well, he won the best director that year.
Or they could have done the pun from Arrested Development and done Her, and everyone's like, Her? I think that would have been.
That would have been good. Her? Okay, so 2012. This one I wonder if we'll have a little bit more. So 2014. So 3 years out, we're saying, you know what? Still made the right pick. Maybe 2014 was just the year where they got it right. 2012, the nominees were War Horse, The Artist, Moneyball, The Descendants, Tree of Life, Midnight in Paris, The Help, Hugo, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. The Artist won, and I will say that looking at these 2 years in movies should remind us that this was not that bad of a year for movies. People are some people have been hating on 2017. The movies that were nominated for both of these years, 2014 at least had a bunch of decent movies. 2012, man, I would say that these are rough.
You're seeing the pattern of they have a big director, or they have a big movie star, and the writing is just not strong enough. They're going to get nominated regardless. Yeah.
So The Artist won. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I kept getting the title of the one I picked wrong. I keep calling it Extremely Loud and Incredibly Loud.
Oh, did you like that movie?
That's not right. It's Extremely Loud and
Incredibly Close.
Yes.
If it was Extremely Loud and Incredibly Loud, that would be a bad title.
Well, I would. Well, I like it. Anyway, but no, I like that movie. I think it's a nice. It's much as I can say. It's a nice take on 9/11.
Wow.
Where it's not.
Yeah.
Well, where it's not. As
Chris is waiting for a movie to come out from the other point of view, supporting the other side.
No.
I'm just kidding. That was bad.
But
I thought it was Fast and the Furious.
Yeah. So
Extremely Loud, Incredibly Loud.
Yeah, you can't go against Tom Hanks really most of the time. Sandra Bullock's really good in the movie. The little kid is good in it as well. But I think it's just interesting how the story was told about like how 9/11 actually affected a family and a child with special needs when they lost the father, which happened to countless people that day.
Yeah.
And I think it was nice. It was told in an interesting way.
Yeah. Okay, Dick. What about you?
Yeah, that year. I mean, I saw a bunch of those movies, and none of them were. Again, it's like you have so much promise with all these directors, all these actors, and then nothing really stood out to me. And I think that's also. I think my vision of what a good movie is so different from what legitimate movie reviewers have. Because I saw War Horse. That was kind of fun, but it wasn't it wasn't that great.
Gosh, I hated War Horse.
It wasn't great. And then Midnight in Paris was really interesting.
I really like that one.
But out of all the movies, I like that one more because I wanted to go see it again.
Yeah.
Because I was more interested in see how things, because you don't really know what's going on. I saw Moneyball. That wasn't that fun. The only reason I think The Artist did win is because it had that unique silent film point of view, and no one can really argue that, I guess.
Yeah, what I would say is, I wonder of all the Academy voters who voted for The Artist, how many of them have watched The Artist since and maybe this is a bad metric with which to judge.
And what has that actor done since then?
Yeah, exactly. Is that Poitier? No, he was. I don't even remember. Jean Dujardin, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nothing. But what I would say, Midnight in Paris was probably, that would be my second choice because I really liked that. Moneyball would have been my first choice.
But it has Woody Allen, and he is not a hero.
Chris, what do you think, man?
Yeah, he is not a hero.
Yeah, him and his party boys. What do you think? Let's go party with Woody Allen.
Let's not get me started on that one.
Well,
not a hero.
I really Moneyball, and some of that. I'm a sports fan, but also I just think it was really well made. I thought it was fun. You said you didn't think it was fun. I disagree. I thought it was fun. I really liked it. Again, it's one that when it comes on, like if all these movies were on TV at the same time, the two that I would watch would either be Midnight in Paris or Moneyball. I would say War Horse is a bad movie. I did not like War Horse.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Loud, Chris. That was one that that was like, I was falling asleep in the middle of that.
Yeah.
So no, The Help. The other thing was I was thinking if they could vote, if the Academy voted again, I think The Help would win probably because and it won several awards that year in the Oscars. I think it would win Best Picture though, just because again that's one that has stood up a little bit.
That's a very good movie.
It's very good. What I mean stood up is that it's rewatchable. People want to watch it again, and again it's got some of that social element to it that I think would kind of sway people that direction if they had to vote again right now. All right, so any other thoughts about retroactive Oscars? Is this a good idea, bad idea? Should we ever try this again?
Well, I feel the Oscars are a horrible way to base on what's a good movie because they vote on themselves, and I can get the more independent or individual awards because only directors vote on directors, but the Best Picture is vote on everybody, and you're asking people to see a lot of movies who are making movies, so I doubt they see that many movies. And I mean, like that year, Hugo was nominated, and that was an animated movie, and I guarantee you a bunch of people did not see that movie.
Yeah, I think they probably heard it was cool.
In the Academy.
They probably heard it was cool, so they're like, oh, yeah, we should vote for that.
So.
All right, well, quickly, what I want us to do is, I just thought this would be a fun thing to throw in also, predicting next week's Rotten Tomatoes scores. So what we'll do is next week we'll check back in with these and see how close we got and what our percentages was. So each person, bring your own percentages back, and we'll announce what they are. But we'll just go quickly through this because I just thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do. So we'll just go down the line real quick. 50 Shades Freed, Rotten Tomatoes scores. These are all coming out this weekend, I should say. Make sure you go.
When does it officially come out? Like, when's the score? I don't really know how Rotten Tomatoes works.
Well, they start. So don't look now because they start scoring weeks in advance.
If they preview the movie.
If they preview it, unless it's like Disney and they get mad at you, right?
Yeah.
But they start previewing it ahead of time mostly.
Well, I imagine 50 Shades. They don't want anyone seeing that.
So the Rotten Tomatoes scores will come out, but it's kind of up to the studio, I think, how many reviews they really have, how much they release it ahead of time. A lot of times, by the time it comes out, it'll still fluctuate, several points as more and more people go to see it. But they probably all have scores right now. In fact, we could give the preliminary scores after we all guess. But Chris, 50 Shades Freed, what do you think?
I went with 26% fresh.
Oh gosh. Okay, you thought it was gonna be really bad.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do 36.
Man,
Traditionally, they're panned by critics.
I've seen the last two.
I have no idea what I was doing. I guess I lost my mind. I thought maybe it would be like kind of okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
Have you not seen any of the movies?
No, I saw kind of part of the first one.
I mean, awful.
Okay.
Awful.
Oh gosh. Oh, I said 60%.
You're gonna lose that one.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite one was I get a text from Holly and she starts talking about it. I'm like, do you not remember seeing that movie with me? And she didn't.
Do you not remember how terrible it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got 60% for that. So Chris, say what you said again. Sorry.
26%.
Okay, 26. Dick, you said.
I would say, are we doing the rules of like?
We're doing Rotten Tomatoes.
I know, but like the scoring rules.
Above or below, either way.
I would do 30 to 40%.
Okay, well you have to pick a number.
35%.
Okay. Well, currently right before release, it is at 12% on Rotten Tomatoes. Ooh. So that makes me pretty far away. Okay, Peter Rabbit.
Oh, man, that's good. That's
76 is what I'm going with.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm gonna do 44.
Okay. Again, I'm thinking animated movie or kind of semi-animated. Maybe the kids will love it. 92%.
Oh wow.
Before release, it is 69%. Okay. Chris, you're doing well. I'm doing terrible. I think you're.
I think he looked.
I didn't. I swear to you.
He must have.
I did not.
Or the Burris told him.
I haven't even seen this rundown until today.
Well, that's your own fault. All right, 15-17 to Paris. Chris.
82%.
Dick.
I would say I want to do 72.
Okay, man, I'm opposite. I'm living in bizarro land. I said 41%. I just thought the actors looked like they're not very good.
Well, they're not actors.
Oh, that's I forgot. Yeah, they're military
people
guys.
love this.
Those
kind
are
of
the
stuff.
real people.
Well, before release, it is 27% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I guess they don't.
I guess they don't love heroes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike us,
yeah.
me and Dick, who
We
do
all
love
know.
our heroes.
Yeah, we
all
do.
know who
We
everybody
do love our
likes.
heroes, Quentin. All right, so we've got a.
No, it's Roman.
Oh, Roman.
Roman's your hero.
Oh, I forgot he's our hero. Okay, so what we want to do is for the ticket giveaway for next week, we're going to have a trivia question we're going to announce right now. And what you need to do is you need to send us a message on either Facebook, Twitter, or our email, theticketstubpodcast@gmail.com.
Or call in.
Or call in.
936-647-3776.
So, with the Black Panther coming out pretty soon, I thought it'd be good to have a little Black Panther themed trivia.
Okay.
So the question is, so the country that they live in is called Wakanda. Where did the name Wakanda come from? Where did it came from a very specific place where they came up with the name for the country. Where did it come from?
Good question.
Yeah, great question.
And you can look it up. You can cheat. It just goes to the first person.
Yeah, first person. So live listeners obviously have the advantage if you're listening live right now.
Isn't it a car? The Hyundai Wakanda?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Where,
Well,
where
that's
do you
not-
pull this stuff
It should
from?
be.
That's not what I'm reading. It should be. Not what I'm reading right now. But live listeners, you obviously have the advantage. Podcast listeners, you're next in line. YouTube, you're getting to it late, but not. I would still say go ahead and try to throw it out there because you don't know if other people have answered yet. First one to answer is going to get 2 tickets to the Grand Theater or Movie Tavern, which is a pretty awesome free gift. So be sure you're checking that out. Also, we want to tease next week. What are we doing next week, Dick?
Next week is the post-Valentine's Day show. Valentine's Day is on Wednesday of the upcoming next week, and so we are blessed to have our significant others
Too blessed to be stressed, man.
and to be in the studio, and we're going to be focusing a lot on Valentine's Day. I think we are going to do Valentine's movie review with the significant other, and then please follow us on Twitter to see what movies we're going to be watching.
Yeah.
And we want you, the listener, to kind of chime in. You can call in or tweet, and then let us know about what your experiences are with Valentine's Day and going to see a movie. I think 50 Shades Free might be ours. I'm not kidding you, since I've already seen the other two. Might have to commit.
I bet I could see it without seeing the middle one, right? Because I've seen most of the first one. I could probably go straight to the third and be okay.
What's great about that question is I can't answer it because I still don't know what's going on.
Okay.
So I'd be afraid to say, no, you don't. But then when you go see this third one, it wraps it up. You're like, oh, so that's what the whole point of the second one was.
And you might be better off going in fresh because it could just stand totally alone. But we'll have the significant others in here. We got, and then we're putting together a little game we're going to play.
Yeah.
Hopefully where they can answer some questions on our behalf for us. What do we like? What don't we like?
Do they know us? Do they know us that well?
kind of
Do we know them that well?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are we going to throw it back at them?
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Next week, I'm going to try to see between now and then 15-17 to Paris.
Oh, cool.
That's what I'm going to try to watch. Do y'all have something y'all are going to try to catch between now and next week?
I'm going to let my wife pick.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's gonna be our movie I'm gonna try to see.
So we're all shaped up. You know,
Oh.
so everybody's in a good mood when we come.
Okay, well maybe I'll do that instead then.
Well, we only do one movie.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, but maybe I'll scratch 15-17 to Paris.
Well, y'all could go see that movie. That'd be really romantic, right?
That's true. Yeah. Maybe we'll do that instead. All right. Make sure you join in with us next week at our Valentine's Day. I know it'll be the day after, but you'll still be in the mood. You'll still be feeling the love. So you'll want to check it out live next Thursday at noon. Remember, everybody, like and subscribe to all the podcast feeds. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Go like our YouTube.
Don't forget Monday.
And don't forget, Monday we will have our post-credit scene with Steven Keslowitz. If you haven't been keeping up with those post-credit scenes, they've been pretty cool interviews. We get to kind of sit long form and actually talk for a while with somebody. It's not the pace of the normal show, which I think has been a really cool thing. So, for Dick and for Chris, this is Connor. We're signing off on the Ticket Stub.
Thank you for checking out this production of Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station. Don't forget to check out this show and many others across the Lone Star Community Radio Network, either live on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, the Lone Star Internet Radio app, or irlonestar.com's live audio stream, and on replay on podcast, Channel 12's Our City TV in Conroe, or Channel 21 KVQT in Houston, and of course their YouTube channel. This production is copyrighted and all rights are reserved by Lone Star Community Radio. Have a question regarding this program or other Lone Star Community Radio shows? Want to sponsor or start your own show? Call the station message line at 936-647-3776 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.